Okay, this is my new pad. This is the Drumslinger Marcher Pad. It's a 12-inch pad and it's very solid. Let me play on this thing a little bit. Very, very responsive. A very realistic filling head. And I thought that I would go over some of the design elements of this pad so that you can see why this pad is so realistic. All right, it feels just like a snare drum. All right, starting at the bottom of the pad at the base, we have, and hopefully you can see this, a felt disc. These discs are designed and strategically placed on the bottom of this base so that the pad doesn't jump around. All right, a lot of pads you play on will jump around. Well, this one's not jumping around because of two reasons. You have these which stabilize the pad, and also the pad is very heavy, which is great. So when you put this pad, let's say on a tabletop, it's not moving, even when you hit a rim shot. If you put it on top of a drum, it's not going to move. Put it on top of another pad, which is what I do, it's not going to move. All right. I've also got my pads stacked on top of a wooden base, which is supported by my snare drum stand. So this pad is going nowhere. All right, so that's great. So back to the design. We start at the bottom with the felt disc. All right. The bottom layer, or the bottom base, is 3/4 inch MDF, okay? And this is painted to whatever color you want to have it painted to, all right? You'll have to look at drumslingerpercussion.com for more information about that. This is a rose gold metallic, which sort of shines in the light when you shine it up against the light. All right, above that, above the MDF is a layer of, I believe there's about 6 or 8 of these. It's hard to see in there. If you can see in there, there are 6 to 8 neoprene discs, about the size of these felt discs, about like that, maybe a 50-cent piece, $1. That provides stability for the next sound plate, which is another layer of MDF, 1/4 inch. All right, so you've got MDF at the bottom, neoprene disc, MDF, which supports the next layer, which you can't see because I'm not going to take this off, 2 layers of cork. All right, that provides the bounce and the response. On top of that, we've got 2 layers of craft foam, which gives the pad a realistic feel, because when you have a regular snare drum, let's say you're playing on a concert drum or a marching drum with mylar, there's a little bit of give to the head. All right, if you can see it in slow motion, like those slow motion videos you see of the bullets hitting bricks or what have you, there's a little bit of give. You can't see it when you're playing with the naked eye, but slow motion, there's a little bit of give in the head, which is great for this pad because what it does is sets up a realistic feel for you to practice, and then when you transfer your chops to your performance instrument, whatever that may be, it's a great transfer. Right? You're not going to get pad hands. If you have a pad that bounces too much and you go to a drum to play and then you wonder, where'd my chops go? Well, you left them on the pad. So not on this. So I'm not having to work very hard to do this. It's a very responsive pad, but it's not overly responsive. You're not going to be, it's not going to have the feel of a tabletop like some of the pads do. All right, above that craft foam, 2 layers, is the drum head, and you get your choice of drum heads. I happen to have the Evans, let me get my glasses, MEC2S head. And this head actually has another aspect of it that you might not be able to see. It's called black bling. There's just little flakes, specks of black glitter. I thought it looked cool on the Instagram page, and I said, hey, I gotta have one of those. So that's what we've got here. Above that, everything is sandwiched and held into place by this rim, which this rim here is actually a stick saver rim, very reminiscent of the old Slingerland rims we used back in the late 70s and early 80s. It curves around so that there's not a piece of metal protruding up, which when you play your rim shots would tend to chew your sticks up back in the day, but this is curved around, so if you're playing rim shots, it's not going to do that. If you're a heavy hitter, your tone that you're going to produce is going to be a little bit higher as opposed to a lighter stick, which is what I use. Okay, do you hear the difference? Hopefully you can. So if you're a heavy hitter and you play with these very heavy logs, that's the sound you're going to produce. The lighter sticks, all right, a little bit lower pitch. Another thing I like about this pad is that the response at the edge and the feel, especially at the edge, when you're playing buzz rolls or what have you, is very realistic. All right, and as you move toward the center, it's very much like a drum. You're going to get a little louder, a little difference in timbre. All right, so just all in all, a very, very solid product, a very realistic product. You can play rim shots on these, cross shots, traditional with the bead actually on the head, or you can move it to the left and play rim and rim. All right. What have you, if you're practicing for that. So all in all, a very realistic practice instrument so that you can transfer the skills and the muscle memory that you acquire from this pad to the performance instrument, whatever that may be for you. And the turnaround time for production on this particular pad was only 3 weeks. So you can't get much better than that. This is not a mass-produced pad somewhere in China or some other country. This is made in the USA in the great state of Texas. So check them out. This is the Drumslinger Marcher Pad. All right, go to their webpage, drumslingerpercussion.com, to find out about pricing, about delivery dates, and all that good stuff, shipping charges and things like that. But I can tell you this is very well worth it. Very well worth it. All right, this is probably the most responsive pad I've ever played on. Customer service is great. Bill Olson does a great job and is contributing much to the marching arts. I can tell you that. There's another pad that I have that is the Core Marcher, and I actually have the 13-inch Marcher. This is a 12-inch. I got the 13-inch Marcher, and it has a Kevlar head. So if you look on my channel, I think I've had maybe a brief review. I think I may go back and do another review and possibly even compare that model to this model so that you can choose which one best suits you best. All right, so till next time, you'll see a lot of videos of me playing little snippets and little things for my students on this pad and the other Drumslinger pad. Okay, so if you have questions about this pad, I would address them to drumslinger.com and Bill Olson. If you have some basic questions, I can answer based on my experience playing on this pad and taking it out into the field, not the literal field, but actually to the schools where I teach private students. So, till next time, stay tuned for another video about Drumslinger and other pads that you may have questions about. Have a great day.